From the birthplace of Portugal to river valleys and colorful canals, today we explore the north. Let's go see what it's hiding. France, eh? You've been elegant, dramatic, occasionally intimidating, and we appreciate you. But this morning, we're chasing something older. Airport coffee, backpacks zipped. That quiet thrill when the departure board flips to your gate and you realize, new country loading. Window seat secured, France shrinking beneath the wing. And then, wheels down in Porto, Portugal.
Landing at Francisco Sá Carneiro Airport feels like a tone shift. The lights warmer, the language rolls differently, and the energy is grounded. Less performance, more substance. We're officially in Northern Portugal, and I'm already invested.
We grab a bus from the airport. No drama, no rush. Just countryside rolling past the window as we head north to Guimarães. Green hills, tiled roofs, clusters of stone houses appearing between trees. About an hour later, we pull in. And the first thing you notice? Granite.
And then it gets unfair. We check into Pousada Mosteiro de Guimarães, a former 12th century monastery turned hotel. Cloisters, stone arches, high ceilings. The kind of silence that feels curated by history. We flew in from France, and now we're sleeping inside a building older than most nations.
The courtyard is pure symmetry, arcades framing the sky, gardens tucked inside ancient walls. It's peaceful, it's grounded, it sets the tone perfectly, because Guimarães doesn't separate past and present, it layers them. Portugal says it was born here, not inspired, not influenced, born. And when you step into Guimarães, you understand why. Granite under your feet, medieval arcades overhead, a city that didn't reinvent itself, it simply kept going. It doesn't perform history, it lives inside it.
Guimarães doesn't sparkle for you. It stands there like, I helped create a kingdom. Adjust your tone. Everything is granite, heavy, solid, slightly intimidating. It's the architectural version of someone who doesn't need validation. I respect it.
Let's start at Guimarães Castle. 10th century. Romanesque, built to defend, not decorate. Thick walls, compact towers, no nonsense. This is where Afonso I, is traditionally said to have been born. The man who separated from Leon and declared Portugal a kingdom. Whether legend or fact, the point stands. Inside these walls, something shifted. You don't just see a castle, you stand inside a decision.
The castle isn't romantic, it's practical. It doesn't whisper poetry. It says, we were prepared. You walk slower in there, not because you're tired, because the stone feels serious. Joe gets misty around fortresses. It's adorable.
2 minutes away, everything changes. Paço dos Duques de Bragança, 15th century, towering brick chimneys, grand halls, armor displayed like family jewelry, castle energy, survive, palace energy, now let's look impressive. That contrast, that's Portugal evolving, and honestly, it's a glow-up worth admiring.
Then you land in Largo da Oliveira, granite facades leaning inward, the Gothic Padrão do Salado rising delicately in the center, the church beside it worn by centuries of weather. But here's why it works. People still live here. Laundry, groceries, conversations mid-square, no performance, no posing. History isn't elevated, it's blended.
Follow Rua de Santa Maria into Praça de Santiago. Narrow stone lanes open into relaxed cafe terraces. Light filters through arcades. You don't move monument to monument. You move through rhythm. Guimarães doesn't show you highlights. It gives you continuity. And that's far more powerful.
Morning routine here is efficient. Espresso, standing, move. No elaborate brunch philosophy, no croissant photo shoot. It's very Northern Portugal. Practical, direct, slightly judging you. Joe thrives under light supervision.
Then you rise above it. The Penna cable car lifts you quietly over tiled roofs and church spires. The medieval grid shrinks below. At the top, forest, granite boulders, sweeping Minho countryside. From up here, Guimarães looks contained, purposeful, like a cradle of stone holding something important.
And then the sanctuary of Penha surprises you. Modern lines, sculptural concrete, clean, deliberate, unapologetically contemporary, which I love. Because Guimarães isn't stuck in its origin story, it adds chapters. It doesn't cling to 1128, it builds forward.
If you want scale, go further. Museu Martim Sarmento. Pre-Roman Northern Portugal. Castro civilization. Ancient coins. Sculptures. Or step out to Citânia de Briteiros. Iron Age hilltop ruins. Circular stone foundations under open sky. Stand there, and suddenly Portugal feels young. History stretches, perspective shifts, and you feel very small, in the best way.
Minho food is not delicate. Papas de sarabulho, thick pork stew with bread and spice, rojões à minhota, marinated pork, potatoes, rice. And convent sweets like tocinho doce, dense, almond, unapologetic. This is cuisine that says, you will not leave hungry, and it keeps its promises.
At night, amber light softens the granite. Families stroll, conversations linger. Guimaraes isn't loud, it's steady. It feels like a place that decided something once, and never looked back. We left Guimarães just after breakfast, and for the short drive to Braga, Sarah insisted on choosing the rental car. She chose a Tesla Model Y. Now, when someone says, "Trust me," and hands you a vehicle with a screen larger than your first television, you don't argue. You just sit down carefully and act like this is standard behavior. But gliding through northern Portugal in near silence felt strangely perfect. We were heading to a city that mastered energy long before electricity existed. I looked at Sarah. So today we're studying 19th century gravity systems in a car powered by stored electrons.
Energy is energy. You just prefer yours antique.
Fair. Braga arrived without drama, just quiet confidence. We checked into the Vila Galé collection in Braga, a former hospital beautifully restored into a boutique hotel. High vaulted ceilings, thick stone corridors, and a cloistered courtyard that lowers your blood pressure immediately. Sarah turned slowly in the courtyard and said,
If this used to be a hospital, I understand healing now.
We enjoyed the wellness area briefly, which felt appropriate in a city that has been engineering water and comfort since Roman times. Then we headed uphill. Because Braga doesn't just show history, it demonstrates physics. The Bom Jesus funicular looks charmingly old-fashioned. Wooden cars climbing steep tracks toward the sanctuary above. But here's the detail that matters. There's no engine, no overhead wires, no electric hum. Built in 1882, it's the oldest funicular in the world using this water counterweight system, and it still operates exactly the same way. The car at the top fills a tank with about 5,850 liters of water, making it heavier than the car below. Gravity pulls the heavy car down, which pulls the lighter car up. At the bottom, the water is released. The system resets. No electricity, not 1 watt powering the movement. Sustainable engineering before sustainability had branding. Sarah leaned toward the mechanism and said,
So the engine is just water being heavier somewhere else?
Exactly. It doesn't fight gravity, it hires gravity. That's confidence. Next, we tested reality at Estrada Magica, Braga's magnetic hill. Place a bottle on the road. It appears to roll uphill. Put a car in neutral. It seems to drift upward. For a moment, magnetism sounds reasonable. Sarah folded her arms.
Explain it carefully.
It's a gravity hill. An optical illusion. The horizon is blocked, and the surrounding landscape tilts just enough to trick your sense of level. Your brain misreads the slope. What looks uphill is actually downhill. Water isn't defying gravity. Your perception is. Sarah shook her head.
I don't love that my brain can be fooled.
I nodded. Gravity stays honest. That's reassuring. Beneath modern Braga lie the Roman thermae of Maximinus, built when this city was Brachyra Augusta. The Romans engineered comfort with precision. Their hypocaust system raised floors on brick pillars, creating a hollow space underneath. A furnace pumped hot air into that chamber, and through convection and conduction, the rooms above were heated evenly. Underfloor heating. 2,000 years ago, no thermostats, no apps, just a disciplined understanding of thermodynamics. Sarah looked at the brick pillars and said,
So they mastered heat distribution before modern central heating?
Exactly. Braga wasn't improvising. It was calculating. Then came the climb. The sacred way of Bom Jesus rises nearly 116 meters in a dramatic zigzag that looks infinite from below. But it isn't infinite. It's designed to feel that way. Baroque architects used symmetry and forced perspective to align fountains and statues, so your eye keeps finding the next focal point, stretching the staircase visually. Each section represents one of the 5 senses: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch. It's not just stairs, it's perception engineered. Halfway up, Sarah paused.
Is it actually steeper or just dramatic?
Dramatic, I said, trying to breathe normally. By the end of the day, the pattern was simple. Water becomes power. Gravity becomes motion. Heat becomes design. Perspective becomes illusion. Braga doesn't overpower natural laws. It works with them.
We left Braga in the morning. Baroque churches fading behind us, granite facades glowing in early light. And yes, we rented a car. Correction, Joe rented a car. He chose a VW multivan because apparently we are either transporting a touring orchestra or preparing for an extremely spacious emotional evolution.
It's practical, as in room for luggage, camera gear, backup camera gear, snacks, 3 jackets for altitude variability, and enough legroom to reconsider my life choices in absolute comfort. I call it flexibility. Some people call it over-prepared. Those people have never needed a second charging cable at 2,000 meters.
It's enormous. But I will admit, gliding south through northern Portugal in a high-seated van with panoramic windows does feel mildly presidential. The drive from Braga to Porto takes about 45 minutes. A3 toward the coast, green hills, vineyards, industrial edges beginning to appear. And then the Douro opens. Terracotta rooftops stack downward toward the river, and cutting through it all, iron. The Dom Luís the Bridge doesn't appear politely. It asserts itself. We crossed into Vila Nova de Gaia and pulled up to Vinci Ponte de Ferro, positioned perfectly beside the bridge, glass and steel reflecting river light, industrial lines softened by design precision. When your hotel sits directly beneath one of Europe's most iconic iron bridges, that's not a coincidence, that's commitment. Joe opened the balcony doors, looked at the bridge glowing above us, and said,
"We're staying inside infrastructure."
Yes, and it's fabulous. Porto doesn't sparkle. It hums. Rivets, rust, porcelain, Atlantic air. This city trusts structure more than sentiment. Feelings are optional. Foundations are not. And honestly, I deeply admire a place that chooses load-bearing walls over mood swings. First thing you do in Porto? You walk the bridge. Upper deck. No hesitation. Completed in 1886, designed by a student of Gustave Eiffel, the Dom Louis Worm looks like the Eiffel Tower stretched itself across a river and decided to stay. 2 levels, cars below, metro and pedestrians above. Before this bridge, Porto relied on boats and temporary pontoons. The structure didn't just look impressive, it changed commerce, movement, daily rhythm. From the upper deck, the Douro glitters below. Wine cellars line the Gaia side. Porto's old town climbs upward in layered red stone, wind sharp, iron humming softly. Joe leaned over the railing for an immersive perspective. I held onto his jacket. The multivan may be oversized, but I'm not replacing him. Porto wears iron like jewelry, but it never forgets its function. Now we talk about Porto's obsession, azulejos, blue and white tiles covering facades, churches, railway stations, not decoration, narrative architecture. The word comes from Arabic al-zulej, polished stone, introduced during Moorish influence and refined during Portugal's Age of Discoveries. And here's the detail most people miss. That blue pigment was imported cobalt. At one point, cobalt was worth more than gold in European markets. So when Porto dressed its buildings in blue, it wasn't decoration. It was deliberate. It was value made visible. We stepped into a traditional tile studio where artisans still hand paint every piece. Steady hands, measured strokes, the kind of focus that turns pigment into permanence. Joe tried. He really tried. His tile now resembles a snowflake reconsidering its life choices. The artisan remained diplomatic. At São Bento Station, over 20,000 tiles depict battles, royal ceremonies, rural life. You don't just catch a train there. You stand inside porcelain history. Porto doesn't whisper its past. It preserves it, in wonderful shades of blue. Then we followed the Douro West. River meets Atlantic. Farol de Felgueiras stands on a stone pier where currents collide. On rough days, Atlantic waves hit the jetty with sprays reaching nearly 30 feet. 30 feet. Water doesn't politely lap here. It arrives with force. The foghorn sounds steady. guiding ships through waters that once launched explorers toward Africa, India, Brazil. Portugal's maritime empire began on coastlines like this. Joe stepped forward for authentic wave footage. The Atlantic humbled him, shoes soaked, van floor now suspiciously damp, multivan suddenly very justified. Porto teaches through experience, sometimes splashy ones.
We woke up in Porto at the Vinci Ponte de Ferro, and if you've ever wanted to feel suspended between steel, stone, and river light, that's the place to do it. The Douro stretched quietly below. The Dom Luís Açores Bridge framed the skyline. Morning mist hovered just above the water.
If this is how the day starts, we're setting expectations dangerously high.
Oh, we're just getting started. Because today, we weren't driving. We were boarding the Linha do Douro train from São Bento station, that tiled cathedral of a station, and letting the river lead us east. There's something poetic about stepping onto a 19th century train platform and knowing you're about to enter a landscape shaped over millions of years. The train eased out of Porto slowly. The city loosened its grip, buildings thinned, hills tightened, and then the valley begins to unfold. Not dramatically. Gradually, terraces appear along the hillsides, stacked in careful layers, rising higher and higher like giant staircases built for the sky.
This doesn't look grown. It looks constructed.
Exactly. Because it was. The Linha do Douro doesn't just follow the river, it clings to it. On one side, water moves steadily toward the Atlantic. On the other, rock walls rise sharply upward, carved and blasted to make space for the rails. Built in the late 1800s, the railway required tunnels cut into solid stone and tracks anchored into cliff edges that barely seem wide enough to hold them. At moments, the train runs so close to the water that it feels like we're floating.
If it slows down anymore, I'm stepping out for a paddle.
It's that close. The Douro Valley doesn't make space for infrastructure. Infrastructure negotiates with it, but the river isn't the valley's only architect. The soil is just as important. The Douro is built on schist and slate, dark, fractured rock that absorbs heat during the day and slowly releases it at night. Locals call it black gold. When you visit the slate quarries, you see why. The rock splits into sharp layers. It's stubborn, relentless, difficult to tame. And yet, over centuries, farmers broke this rock apart by hand to build the terraces that define the valley today. Stone by stone, no machinery, no shortcuts.
This holds the warmth?
Yes, dear. It traps the sun's heat and forces vine roots to dig deep into cracks for survival. The wine here doesn't grow easily. It struggles, and struggle creates character. After seeing the valley from the train, we went down to water level. Kayaking the Douro changes your perspective entirely. From the river, the terraces tower overhead. The canyon walls feel higher, the curves tighter. You begin to understand scale. The Douro carved this valley over millennia. Patient, persistent erosion, shaping stone. Humans followed later, sculpting the slopes into geometric terraces that seem impossible from below.
From here, it feels like the earth folded.
That's exactly what it feels like. Nature shaped the canvas. People finished the artwork. Before heading back toward Porto, we stopped at an 18th century azite mill, where olive oil is still cold-pressed the traditional way. If slate is black gold, olive oil is liquid gold. The olives are crushed slowly. No heat, no rush, just pressure and patience. You can smell the fruitiness before you taste it.
That's not just oil, that's sunlight.
And you are right, my love. The same slate that nurtures vines supports olive trees. The same terraces that hold grapes hold olives. Nothing is wasted here. Everything is intentional. By late afternoon, the valley glowed. Terraces turned amber. The river reflected gold. Shadows stretched long across the slopes. And something becomes clear. The Douro Valley isn't dramatic because it's wild. It's dramatic because it's disciplined. The river carved the canyon. People carved the terraces. Slate holds heat. Roots break rock. Generations layered effort on top of effort. This isn't accidental beauty. It's accumulated persistence. As we rode the train back toward Porto, watching the valley slowly widen again, we realized it is Douro. Nothing is rushed. Not even the river nor the vines.
We're still waking up in Porto, still at Vinci Ponte de Ferro with the Dom Luís Açores Bridge glowing outside our window like it owns the skyline. But today, we're heading south. Aveiro sits about 57 to 75 kilometers from Porto, roughly 45 minutes to just over an hour by car. You can take the train in about an hour too. but Joe already has the multivan keys in hand. Apparently, the van needs circulation. So we drive. South from Gaia, industry softens into farmland. The skyline lowers, the sky stretches wider. And today, we're not alone. My niece Hannah is in Portugal. She's on a cruise ship that docked in Lisbon for the day. And instead of doing the polite walking tour with matching headsets, she texts me, "Send location, I'm rerouting." 3 hours later, she pulls up in Aveiro like she just rewrote the itinerary. She jumps out before the car's fully off, sunglasses on, energy already dialed up.
I had 12 hours in Lisbon, but this felt like the better plot twist.
That's Hannah, fun-loving, fearless, slightly impulsive, fully committed.
You just abandoned a cruise schedule?
Schedules are suggestions. GPS is real. Adventure awaits.
And suddenly the lagoon feels louder. Aveiro doesn't rise, it stretches. After Porto's iron confidence, this feels like someone widened the lens and softened the noise. The Ria de Aveiro lagoon spreads out like glass, canals reflecting facades so precisely you question which side is solid. Hannah turns slowly in a circle, enjoying the sun.
This feels like the sky upgraded.
Before pastel facades and university cafes, Aveiro was built on salt, serious salt. And yes, you can visit the Salinas. These aren't museum pieces. They're working salt pans with walking trails, guided tours, and long stretches of shallow mirrored water where brine slowly crystallizes into sharp white pyramids. Local guides explain how evaporation, timing, and temperature determine the harvest, the method passed down for generations. We walk along the narrow paths between pans, air mineral-rich, sun bouncing off white geometry. Hannah crouches beside one of the salt pyramids, studying it like she's about to run diagnostics.
This looks calm, but this is manual precision on expert mode. It's basically centuries of shoulder strength stacked into symmetry.
Correct, my dear Hannah. Salt-preserved cod, funded trade, stabilized the region's economy. These white pyramids financed architecture and ambition. Joe, of course, wants the rake, not casually, confidently. He rolls his shoulders like he's about to demonstrate something instructional.
I mean, how hard can it be? You just move salt.
He drags the rake once, twice. On the third pull, his entire posture shifts. Hannah's already filming.
Oh, this is excellent. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode of Overconfidence in Natural Elements.
Technique? It's all about leverage. Oh, this is more resistance than I anticipated.
Breaking news. Man discovers that centuries of manual labor were not, in fact, a light hobby.
No, I've got it. It's denser than it looks.
Right, like history ever bothered adding a light mode option.
This is shoulder heavy, and apparently I am shoulder weak. I have gained perspective and humility.
Growth. We love to see it.
And just like that, the salt pyramids feel heavier. Not visually, but historically. Mockery delivered, respect earned. And then, the guide casually mentions the salt baths. Natural therapeutic pools where you can float effortlessly in mineral-rich water. Mud treatments too, skin softening, circulation boosting. The whole wellness narrative rooted in actual tradition.
Oh, you're doing that?
I don't think.
No, after the rate confidence, you're absolutely floating.
She gestures toward the bath like she just activated a challenge level. Joe hesitates for half a second, then commits. Into the salt pool he goes, attempting dignity. He floats instantly, arms out, staring at the sky. Hannah stands at the edge, filming.
This is what surrender looks like.
Okay, this is actually amazing.
And that's the thing. Salt here isn't aesthetic. It's experience. It's labor, industry, therapy, and history. All layered in white under an open sky. Respect earned. Floating included. Aveiro's canals aren't decorative. They're inherited infrastructure. The Moloqueiro boats glide through them long and low, curved at both ends, flat-bottomed for shallow lagoon waters. Originally built to harvest meliso, seaweed used as fertilizer in nearby fields. Working vessels, lightweight, adaptable, built for shifting channels. Over time, their painted bow panels gained personality, romantic scenes, humor, subtle social commentary. Hannah studies one like it's a design brief.
Look at the framing. They were controlling perspective before cameras existed. That's advanced.
That one's flirting.
No, that one knows exactly what it's doing.
And with that, I realized I am outnumbered. We bored. As we drift past Arte Nova, balconies doubled in reflection, the city barely making a sound, Hannah trails her fingers just above the water.
This is low stim but high intelligence. Everything moves, but nothing panics.
Aveiro doesn't rely on spectacle, it relies on flow.
We drive west to Costa Nova, lagoon on one side, Atlantic on the other. The famous striped houses appear, bold reds, blues, greens, yellows. Originally, fishermen's storage huts painted brightly, so they stayed visible in Atlantic fog. Function first, icon later.
These houses have confidence.
Joe decides to test the Atlantic again. He steps in. He steps out immediately.
Poor Joe. Nature said no.
Back in Aveiro, we try ovos moles, egg yolk and sugar wrapped in delicate wafers shaped like shells. They began in convent kitchens where egg whites were used to starch clothing and the yolks needed a purpose.
So this is historic efficiency, but dessert.
She folds one. It cracks.
Okay, that one rage quit.
We sit beside the canal for a minute, boats drifting, sunlight on the water, and suddenly the trip isn't about architecture anymore. It's just time together. By late afternoon, Hannah heads back toward Lisbon and her cruise ship. It's bittersweet, the time together and the goodbye,